morning. It is a beautiful overcast day on the campus of St. Houston State University in Huntsville, Texas. The date is November 9th, 2016, the day after the election. And Cohort 4 from Dr. Nicksons, Becoming a Teacher, 12 p.m. class, is here to discuss inTASC standards. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Dory Chin, joined here today with
Diana McCall,
Joanna Gonzalez,
Jordan Schweier,
Tiffany Washington,
and Kimberly Middleton.
All right, ladies, we're here to discuss the importance of collaboration, resources needed to meet the needs of individual learners, importance of cultural backgrounds in the classroom, academic language, and the development of learner literacy, why giving feedback and planning goals is crucial, and why instructional strategies are essential. Whew, that's a mouthful, but luckily for you, we're going to break down these inTASC standards today.
Well, collaboration is important because according to Carol Ann Tomlinson from the article Notes from an Accidental Teacher, she states that we should develop friendships with colleagues who set high standards, such as educators are in every school, and their partnerships provide both light and energy for professional growth. So the goal here is quality, not quantity. So surround yourself with people that know what they're doing and they're effective, not people that are just going to drag you down and give negative feedback.
I completely agree with you, Joanna. Developing friendships and bonds is essential in a teaching environment. As a cohort, we collaborate on projects and assignments and turn to each other to help for every single day life activities and stuff. So now we help each other in every aspect of our school life. And speaking of success, what resources do teachers use to meet the needs of an individual learner? Another quote from Carol Ann Tomlinson, The Goals of Differentiation, states that teachers in differentiated classrooms create fit by using small group instruction, reading partners, text at varied reading levels, personalized rubrics, mini workshops, learning contracts, product and task options with common learning goals, independent studies, varied homework assignments, and a host of other strategies, not for the sake of using them, but to make learning work for each student. What do you guys think about that? Okay.
You know, I think technology is a large part of the classroom. I can jump on Blackboard at any time, and there's multiple assignments that I can do that are readily available that my professors assign me. And also in the classroom, there's Elmos that I can provide for my students and do assignments for them to follow along with. Is anyone a kinesthetic learner?
Well, you can also use building blocks like for elementary math students.
Perfect.
Whenever they're dealing with fractions or anything of that nature, they can use those building blocks or the number blocks even.
Definitely.
I'm a very visual learner, so for me, I learn the best from a PowerPoint or from flashcards where I can focus on memorization.
I agree with you. All right, ladies, we're gonna keep going.
So the next question really catches my attention because it's talking about how we should consider the cultural background when planning for instruction. This actually brings me back to a memory from my 9th grade English class. My teacher had planned for our class to read a book named Siddhartha, which was about the founding of Buddhism and how to practice it. Well, a lot of families, including my own, are very conservative and did not appreciate her requiring us to study about her religion and her requiring us to practice meditation and other things of that sort. Therefore, she was forced to change her curriculum and supply those opposed students with another book to study. So because of this, it's very important to consider cultural backgrounds when planning instruction because some students of different cultures might urge them not to participate based on cultural views. This brings me to a quote I read in the article Joy in School by Stephen Wolk. He says, "Encourage students to read thrillers, romance novels, action-adventure books, stories about sports, animals, and pop cultures, and you will see plenty of joy."
I think it's very important for teachers to consider cultural backgrounds when planning for instruction because many people may be very sensitive to the different topics. For example, in history books, there are many different events that have happened that offend one's culture and may be too sensitive to talk about too much or look too far into. I think it's very important to think about everyone everyone wanted to dress up in feathers and put teepees out, and honestly, a lot of people seemed offended by that because that's not what depicts a Native American culture.
All right, ladies, we're going to hear from Diana and Joanna about academic language.
You know, that goes back with cultural backgrounds too, because me as English being my second language, and school I had to mostly pertain my stuff and use a lot of vocabulary words that I really didn't understand and know. At home, my parents wouldn't help me out, so all the help I had about language and vocab was at school. And that really helped me because now I want to be a bilingual teacher and impact other students.
See, for me, it was different. Both my parents were English teachers, and they expected me to have good vocabulary. And being adopted, and my very first language was Romanian, it was very hard for me to learn English since we both didn't understand each other.
All right, ladies, we're going to hear from Jordan, who's going to talk with us a little bit more about this.
Well, in reference to Diana and Joanna, especially with the vocabulary words, the teacher develops and implements supports for learner literacy development across certain content areas, and by doing that, they choose to use the textbook words and define shapes and ideas before teaching the lesson. For example, my learner literacy was improved last semester when I took a geometry class, and before each lesson, my professor defined certain concepts. Honestly, this helped me throughout the lesson, and I thought back to the different definitions she gave us throughout the tests I took. It helps to know the definitions of the basics first, for sure. Michael Garrion and Kelly King mention a teacher named Mrs. Johnson in the article Teaching of the Minds of Boys. She asked her students to create storyboards, a series of pictures with or without words that graphically depict a storyline. The pictures on the storyboard prompt the brain to remember relevant words, functioning for these learners as first stage brainstorming. Now, when her students write, they describe what they have previously drawn and then add to that foundation. Their spatial visual assets are helping them to write. You can incorporate this into a math classroom by including geometric shapes and mathematical ideas.
All right, Jordan, that sounds really interesting, and I also had an experience like that as well. We're going to move on to Tiffany, who's going to talk with us about descriptive feedback.
For example, in our textbook on Chapter 9, it describes praising students. I know for me, for example, it definitely helps me whenever I get feedback from work that I really worked hard on, and I get told I did a good job, and therefore it helps me improve my grades, gives me the confidence that I need. It also, shows students that it describes what they need to work on, and it helps them achieve what the assignment needs so that they can master the skills needed to go on to the next level.
Awesome. All right, we're going to toss the mic over to Kimberly, who's going to lead us home with these few words.
So going off of the descriptive feedback, it's also really important to plan goals and be able to adjust plans in instruction. This brings me back to what I said in question 3. My English teacher was not prepared for certain students to not be able to read or learn about the Foundation of Buddhism book. She had struggled to adapt to this and find a book of similar level that was appropriate for these students to read. So it's important to always have a backup plan in case things don't go your way. Which brings me to the last question of why it's important to be able to adapt instruction. For my ACE hours, I'm volunteering to tutor 2 homeschool students, both of which have ADHD. I've noticed increasing importance in their environment, their noise level, how they need to move, and to have short lessons. So this has prepared me for the future in case I come across students of similar nature in my classroom.
All right, that sounds really interesting. Well, that's all we have for you today, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later. But for right now, we out. I'm chopping this part off.